So guys, I've been wanting to do this video for a couple of days, but unfortunately life has been very busy. But the beautiful people are in the TNA Hall of Fame now, and I have up and down feelings about this. That I think that yes, I'm very happy with TNA Wrestling for acknowledging a lot of their, past wrestlers in the Hall of Fame. Like it was really stupid because when they first started the Hall of Fame, you saw a lot of WWE people and WCW people. Like AJ Styles should have been the first person in it, but they put Sting in. Then they had Kurt Angle, and then Abyss was actually the first, TNA original, but that came, a few years ago. And then when Abyss got put in, the accident angle where Austin Aries and John Morrison got into a fight. So that's kind of like, show that's like really disrespectful. Really, like imagine if AJ Styles was in the TNA Hall of Fame, and you had this angle where it's Truck Williams and Ricky Stanks and Saints, like just trashing, his Hall of Fame party for an angle. It doesn't show the utmost respect, really. And really, like for a long time, a lot of the TNA originals have been really shitted on. So definitely it's really good that they're being acknowledged, really. So this brings me to the beautiful people. I think that, I have mixed feelings. I think that this is a very bad call. They should have been it should have been next year. The thing is that AJ Styles should have been this year because he just came back to TNA Wrestling. He did that promo at Slammiversary. Like, wouldn't this been like the right moment to do it? Like, they had their biggest crowd ever. Now they announced AJ Styles. They should have put him in the Hall of Fame. And they should have said, hey, we're going to have Leon Slater versus AJ Styles at TNA Bound for Glory. Like, so I do think that with a lot of the talent exchange and a lot of the usage of TNA wrestling by WWE, I think that there's a lot of things that they can do to elevate TNA wrestling. But I think what they're trying to do really is give TNA wrestling some stars and some feuds, so they can kind of have their own television program. But I do think that there are a lot of missed opportunities, really. I think having AJ Styles in the Hall of Fame, building to Leon Slater versus AJ Styles at Bound for Glory should have been the way to go, and actually having Leon Slater defeat AJ Styles, like that would have been the right direction if I was booking it, and then have beautiful people next year, because it that would all that would have done a lot for TNA wrestling. The thing about the beautiful people, I would say, is that yes, they should have been next year. But I will talk a little bit about the beautiful people. That they're almost like the Paris Hilton of AEW in the sense that when you saw them, they were all about like the eye candy and whatever. Really, like they're kind of like almost like this Vince Russo sexualized women type of thing, really. And we have to like kind of say this for what it is, that if a woman wants to dress in a very slutty way, and if a woman wants to like shake their ass and walk around in skimpy lingerie like they were doing, there's no problem with that. If the only issue is if they're forced to do it, or if it's something like where they say, oh, well, I'm a woman, that's what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to sexualize myself. No, that's not okay, really. That's almost like saying, somebody's black, they're supposed to eat fried chicken. Or it's almost like if a black person says, I'm black, I'm supposed to sag my pants and say the word nigga all day, type of thing, really. You should not be, you shouldn't just do things because you think because you think you should adapt to a stereotype. But women celebrating their sexuality and being okay with that, no problem. That's totally fine, really. And I think that with the beautiful people, that's where they come from. I do not think that they were good match quality people. I think they were just supposed to be like the eye candy for TNA wrestling. And mind you, that this is what TNA wrestling really was. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be TV-14 the same way AEW was supposed to be TV-14 and WWE was supposed to be TV-PG, really. So you really had to, really show your women, and showing your women in a TV-14 way was really the identity of TNA wrestling. In addition, having like the women's movement, and a lot of people don't realize this, but one of the biggest starting points of the women's revolution was TNA wrestling with Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. Like that was really like one of the biggest catalysts. I would say you can even argue that it was China in the Attitude Era, and then it sort of just got momentum in WWE when a lot of people were being a little bit outspoken about like the usage of women wrestlers But TNA wrestling did a lot for the women's revolution, especially because of Gail Kim and Austin Kong and their big feud. And I think that was like one of the first times a woman has main evented a television show. They had a cage match main event, so they did a lot of really progressive things. But the beautiful people, ultimately, as I said before, and I say it again, they really did not have any memorable matches. They were just really the eye candy. And as I said before, that really, I think the message of the beautiful people is if you see women like Toni Storm who do like really, really sexy comedy or sex jokes, or if you have a female wrestler like Stephanie Fakir and other women that walk around with their butts exposed, you know, that's kind of inspired by the beautiful people in the sense that they didn't start that, but in the sense that if there are women who want to do professional wrestling and they want to show off how beautiful their body is, and they're proud of their look and they're proud of their sexuality and they're proud of just like showing off their body and whatever, part of one of the biggest contributing factors in the 2000s was the beautiful people for that. And that's okay, really, because again, it's our body. If we want to celebrate how beautiful we are and what beautiful people we are, we have to be very proud of it. Like, for example, I was at the Stax studio in Memphis yesterday, and I went to Isaac Hayes, and there's pictures of Isaac Hayes. He would always he would celebrate his sexuality as well. He would walk around with no shirt on. He would have a chainmail, like vest or whatever. So you saw his big muscular chest and everything like that, really. So, that's also very true as well, really, where it's not just, it's good for all people, all genders to celebrate their sexuality, really. But the beautiful people definitely said, hey, women can be, sexy, and if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do, really. If you want to have a show that's TV-14, go right ahead, really, So I do think that, for contributions they've done to TNA wrestling, for, really just, being very sexual characters when that's really what they want for themselves, really. And I also think the other part of it is also just, even though I think that this year should have been AJ Styles with the momentum TNA got from UBS Arena and him coming back and making an appearance, it should have been AJ Styles this year, beautiful people next year. I just think that, I'm still okay with this. The other problem is that they should have done what they usually do at Slammiversary, is introduce the Hall of Fame person. Like, could you imagine if AJ Styles introduced the beautiful people? Or could you imagine if you had a women's match and you had, women or top women in the company introduce the beautiful people? Like, just to throw them together, it's just not a good look, really. And that's kind of the issue with TNA wrestling. I think that they have a lot of good things going for them, but there are times when they can kind of, they just don't know how to strike the dynamite. They don't really know how to strike the dynamite, really. They do miss out on a lot of opportunities. Like, I do watch AEW, yes. AEW has a big pattern of fucking over opportunities. Ricky Saints, congratulations, my boy, is the NXT champion. They're going to do Women's Blood and Guts, and I'm very, very damn worried that they're not going to do it at the Wrestle Dream show. And Wrestle Dream has 4,000 people. So how many more people do you think you're going to give for Wrestle Dream by having a women's blood and gut match, by establishing that women can do great things in a blood and guts match and rebuild your women's division? Because it's mostly been Mercedes and Toni Storm. So I think AEW is going to screw the pooch, and you're going to have this blood and guts match down in Florida or maybe in San Antonio or whatever, really. It needs to be at Chief Fitz it needs to be at the Chief Fitz Arena in St. Louis because that pay-per-view is struggling. So I will say this, that TNA wrestling does miss a lot of opportunities. There are times when they can go to the next level if they have the right booking, or if somebody was to say, here's the idea, and somebody else said, now let's just booster shot it. Let's pick better moments to have this idea, or let's just alter it a little bit. But AEW does that all the fucking time, really. I'll not shit you guys on that. No shit, son. AEW does screw themselves out of opportunities all the time. I'll not shit you that, son. But I will say that I really would say congratulations to the beautiful people. They did do a lot for TNA wrestling. They were there for a lot of years. Women celebrating their sexuality and being okay with it and that want, in the sense that that's what they want to do, okay, that's right, really. If they're not okay with it, then that's totally different. But congratulations to the beautiful people. I'm happy that they go down in history. They deserve it, and it's actually kind of funny. This is probably the most relevant Madison Rayne has been, really, because she went to AEW, they done nothing with her. So it's good that she's actually in TNA and she's getting recognized, versus being like the Hardys when they went to versus just like what happened to the Hardys. They went to AEW, they got no direction. Fuck Tony Khan for that. And then they went to TNA, really. So it's kind of the same pattern of getting more recognition by going back to TNA, So, but thanks for everything, beautiful people. And as I said, we're all beautiful people, really. And we want to celebrate our bodies, and our sexuality in ways that are constructive and in ways that we don't hurt other people and other things like that, then why not, really? And depicting that in professional wrestling, no problem, because, there are people who are open about their bodies and how beautiful they are, like the beautiful people.